Okay, for the last question for this session, we have Peter Redforce, who is planning to invest in a space project called Project K, and the project will last for 5 years. It means this is the period of the investment, and it's expected to have projected cash flows as shown in the table below this table. And as you can see, the year zero, the cash flow is in negative form, which means this is the initial investment or the cost that Peter Redforce has to pay in the beginning of the investment period. And from given information, you are asked to calculate the NPV of Project K if the required rate of return is 0%, 10%, 20%, and 30%. And you are also asked to give your analysis regarding your calculations above. Okay, and to remind you a bit, the NPV is the sum of the present value of the cash flows, which is cash flows divided by 1 plus r in the power of I, subtracted with the initial investment. Okay, so I have write down the given information here. Okay, for the point A, the NPV when the required return is 0%. Actually, you can use this formula as usual, but at a zero discount rate and only at a zero discount rate, you can just simply add up all of the cash flow from year 1 until year 5 and then subtract it with the initial investment, which is the cash flow from the year 0. Okay, let's try that simple method. And you get the NPV 102,000, the same with the one that I have calculated with this formula. It's gonna be the same because take a look, if 1 plus r and the r is 0, it will be 1 in the power of I or the time, and 1 in the power of any number will be just 1, and any number or any cash flows divided by 1 will be just the cash flow itself, so it will turn out the same way. And I recommend you to just sum all of the cash flows since it is simpler. Okay, for the point B, you can write down the table like this because it reduces human error. The first column is the year or the period, and then the cash flow of each year. And the next one is to calculate the denominator of the cash flow from each cash flow. So it's 1 plus r. The required rate of return is 10% in the power of t, which is 1, 2, 3 until 5. It depends on what we are calculating. Okay, let's try it. 1 plus the required rate of return, which is 10%, in the power of 1, since we are calculating the denominator for cash flow from year 1. And then we can just simply drag it, and because the calculation is pretty much the same. And then the next step is to calculate the present value. To calculate the present value, you just have to divide your cash flow with the denominator of your cash flows, and then do the same for the others, and we get these numbers. And we have to sum the present value, since the formula of the NPV is the sum of the present value. So we have to sum all the present value that we have calculated. And then we get this $140,025.51 of present value of cash flows. And then for the NPV, we just simply just subtract this sum of present value with the initial cost or initial investment, and then we get our NPV when the required rate of return is 10%, is $46,025.51. And then for the next question, the point C, we're going to do the same way using this table. And the first thing we have to do after we write down the information is to calculate the denominator again. Okay, so the denominator is 1 plus the R. R is in this C, in this point C, the required rate of return is 20%. And then in the power of 1. Since we're calculating the denominator for cash flow in the first year or the year 1. And we just simply drag it to the other since the calculations is the same, and then calculate the NPV, the cash flow divided by the denominator for each cash flow, and do the same for the others, and we get the sum of the present value is 104,463.67. And for the NPV, we just simply subtract this with our initial investment. And we get $10,463.67 NPV when the required rate of return is 20%. And for the next question, point D, we are going to do the same again. After you write down all the given informations, you calculate the denominator for each cash flows. 1 plus the rate, which is 30%, in the power of 1, since we're calculating the cash flow for we're calculating the denominator for cash flow for the year 1, and then drag it, and we calculate the present value, which is the cash flow from each year divided by its denominator. And then we simply just do the same for the other years, and we get this sum of present value is $80,779.15, and we can get our NPV by subtracting this sum of present value with this cost. And you can see if the required rate of return is 30%, the NPV is minus 13,220.86 dollars, and the NPV has a negative value. And you're asked to give your analysis as well after you calculate all the NPVs. You can use this as your analysis. So the required rate of return, as the required rate of return increases from 0% until the 30%, the NPV will decreases, as you can see from our calculations. And it means that if Peterad Force requires the rate of return 30%, the project K may not be acceptable for Peterad Force, since it will give Peterad Force negative NPV. It means that the project K is not profitable, it's not adding value to the company, and will not gaining the owner's wealth. And if Peterad Force requires 0 until 20% required rate of return, it means that the project K is profitable for Peterad Force, since it will give Peterad Force positive value of NPVs. Okay, I think that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you for your attention. I hope it helps. But if you still have any questions, don't hesitate to ask your tutor. Thank you.